The release of Mario Kart World couldn't have come at a more convenient time, because the Mario Kart stuff just keeps on coming. What we have here is the Mario Kart LEGO set. This is Mario in the standard cart that we see in pretty much every Mario Kart game up to this point. And so, yeah, this is just another LEGO decoration display piece that I decided to add to my collection. And like I said, now that I have officially completed my physical Mario Kart collection, now that I have a copy of every single Mario Kart game physically, what better time to add something like this to the collection? So if you guys have been around for the LEGO videos before, you know the routine. Let's unbox this thing and then we'll get into building. Before we get to the unboxing, I forgot to flip the box over and show you guys that you can supposedly change Mario's hand positions on here, kind of like how you can change Bowser's claws from the Mighty Bowser LEGO set. So here we could give him a thumbs up or just have him holding onto the wheel as usual. And as for the size footprint of this thing, it's about a little over a foot long and 8.5 inches tall. So this thing's got a pretty decent size to it. Just figured that was worth pointing out before we start the unboxing segment. All right, now let's unbox this thing. So we got some tape on the sides back here. And then in the box, whoa, that's everything. So we've got some tires out of a bag, and then these look like the front tires here because they're smaller, and then we have the back tires in the bag here. I might not be a certified space judger here, but I think there's enough room for them to put these two in here. Just saying. I don't know why they decided to leave these out on mine. But oh well. And then here's the book. Oh, this is new packaging for the books. It's in this paper that is decorated with the fakest looking Lego instructions I've ever seen. Like, why would step 37 be connecting two yellow 4x2 bricks together? Whatever. But I think with this, just a matter of... Oh wait, no, there's an actual opening here. So we don't have to completely destroy the packaging. And here's the book. On the front, you have Mario facing you, and on the back of the cart, like you'd see when you're actually driving this thing. Or specifically with this style, like you'd see in Super Mario Kart. This is a pretty thick book too. How many pages is this? Over 300 pages! $700 steps. Okay. Here we go. 700 steps. Let's get all this organized, and then we'll get to building. And this is everything we have to work with for this LEGO set. It has 17 main bags in addition to the one bag with just the wheels. And unlike the Super Mario World LEGO set, the one with Yoshi and Mario, this one actually has some substance to what's in the bags. Like bag 10 here is probably our smallest one, and all things considered, it's a decent size. It's not like how there was like bag 14 or something like that was the size of those mini bags inside of the bigger bags from the Super Mario World LEGO set. So at least here, it doesn't seem like they were just trying to stretch out the pieces to get a certain bag count, which it's a very nitpicky thing, but something that I personally appreciate. Anyway. Enough of all that logistical nonsense, let's actually begin building, starting with bag 1. So bag 1 is now done, and this is where we're at right now. We're just starting work on the car body. At least that's what I'm assuming this is at this point. Looks like we're getting started on the wheel wells here for what I'm assuming are going to be the front wheels. That just seems to make the most sense with the way that this is going right now, but again, these are all predictions. So that's pretty much all I have to say about bag 1 so far. Let's go on to bag 2. All right, so bag 2 is now done. And biggest change is that we now have the steering wheel mechanism in place. I think I was wrong about this having anything to do with the back wheel or with the front wheels. If anything, it's going to be for the back wheels, because I assume anyway that Mario Kart carts are front wheel steering. So this is most likely going to be the front where we have our steering mechanism here. And the way they do that is actually pretty cool. It's just connected by a bunch of linkages. Like here, it literally, these just move left and right as this turns either way. These two black linkages here are connected together on either side down the middle, and then they connect to a 3-way ball socket assembly here, which is held by 2 of those red clamps on either side, which allow it to turn, or which allow the axles to turn when the steering wheel portion is turned. So that just gives a rough idea as to how that mechanism came together. And that's essentially what happened in bag 2. So now let's go on to bag 3. Okay, bag 3 is now done, and essentially all that was done here was work on the front bumper. And these moving pieces were added. Not exactly sure what these are going to be for yet. Or sorry, not the front bumper, the back bumper. So this could be for for the back wheels. So the front's up here, the back's over here. So this was the back bumper, my mistake. But yeah, that's essentially what happened in bag 3. So now let's move on to bag 4. All right, bag 4 is now done. And the biggest change here is now we started work on the back wheel axles. So we did the bumper in bag 3, and now for bag 4, we are, like I said, we just kind of got the axles for that, for those wheels set up. And you can see that they're slightly higher than the front axles to account for the bigger tire diameter. And yeah, that's pretty much all that was notable that happened in this bag. So now let's move on to bag 5. Okay, so bag 5 is now done, and the biggest change here, as you can tell, is that we now have the exhaust pipes on the back of the cart, and just a little more refinement of the back of the cart as well. But that's essentially what happened with bag 5. Not much else besides that, so let's move on now to bag 6. So we're in the middle of bag 6 right now. I just got done doing this part, which doesn't seem to have a connection point yet, but maybe that'll be figured out later. Anyway, this is red. It might not be showing up too well on camera because it seems the camera's kind of brightening it up a bit, but this is red. And the steps to make all this happen are, like, they start on this page here, 121, where this is pretty clearly red, I would say. Then turn it over to 122, you're continuing, but these pieces look more orange to me. Maybe it's not necessarily red and orange to you, I mean, because I think everyone sees color a bit differently. But the fact of the matter is, I just find it interesting how these are very different colors. These are clearly 2 different colors, even though it's the same parts. I don't know why the LEGO manuals sometimes just have these inconsistencies, but I don't know. I kind of enjoy just pointing them out and noticing them, and figured, yeah, I just kind of wanted to point that out to see what anyone else, if anyone else notices this as well. Bag 6 is now done, and essentially all that happened was just more work on the sides of the car now in between both wheels. So now these areas, these regions of the car are, I think, pretty much complete. If we look at the box down there, like, this is the area that we're looking at. And yeah, these look pretty complete at this point. So yeah, just did that on both sides. One thing I will note is this portion right here, you see where we have the two different slants. It's really important to make sure that you orient them correctly. I had them oriented incorrectly for a while on this side, and that just resulted in the entire red portion of this assembly to be sitting slightly higher than it should and not be completely secured. So in order to avoid that, just make sure that you orient the white parts below it correctly on both sides, and you should be good to go. But that's all I have to say regarding bag 6. Let's go on now to bag 7. Okay, so bag 7 is done, and pretty major change here is that we now have the steering wheel assembly all put together for the front of the car. And the way that it essentially works is, you see we actually have the wheel itself sticking out here for Mario to grab, and the wheel is attached to a series of these gray tube-like pieces that connect together, and they link onto this clamp down here, which links onto this arm that we saw back in about, I think, either bags 3 or 4, that is connected to the front axles. And when you spin the wheel, it moves the clamp to change the position, the angular position of the front 2 wheels here. So that's pretty cool. That's how that assembly all comes together. And that's pretty much all that happened with bag 7. So now let's move on to bag 8. All right, so bag 8 is now done, and essentially all that happened between bag 7 and now was we got the finishing details of the bumper, the front bumper on the cart complete, as you can see here. The smooth blue texture on the bottom, and then the smooth white texture on top. But that's all that happened in bag 8. So now let's move on to bag 9, where it looks like we might actually be putting some wheels on. All right, everyone, so bag 9 is now done, and this was a very productive stage in the build process. So let's just get started. I'll kind of go from left to right here. So the first thing you'll notice is that the Mario emblem and pretty much the entire front side of the cart is now complete, as it shows on the box. So yeah, that was the first thing that we got done here, just fine-tuning that, adding the white siding to the front, so that now everything is complete in that regard. Mario's seat is also now complete with the back in place. That wasn't there before, we just had the bottom, so now the back is there as well. Well, probably the most noticeable change is that now we have the tires and the wheels installed as well. All 4 of those are on. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, how are you able to spin these freely, Alex? I mean, they are wheels, they're supposed to drive, you know, the car's supposed to drive on them, right? Well, this might be difficult to do one-handed, so I gotta be careful. There we go. We built this stand that the cart rests on as well. This was our final step here, and as you can see, it's completely flat, so when I put it on, let's see if I can line it up right, because there's a... Sorry, I gotta readjust there. That little hole in between the 2 beige pieces there is where the yellow peg goes into. So that's like right in the middle of the cart. Let's just lower that down there. There we go. So with that in place, I can tilt the cart forward and backwards, not side to side, and let's just move those back. We can do full rotation as well, and it's smooth rotation at that. All the movement with this is very smooth. I don't really understand why they had us do it, do the stand and the wheels right now though, because I mean, we still have 5 more bags left to go for building. And unless they're all Mario, which honestly they might just all be Mario at this point because the cart looks pretty much done. I mean, yeah, doing any more building to the cart when, you know, it can move around like this would not necessarily be easy. I can imagine anyway. So, yeah, I mean, from what it looks like, looking at the preview here for bag 10, we are going to be starting on Mario's body. So I imagine the rest of this is probably just going to be Mario himself, Mr. Mario Kart. So with that, let's continue on with bag 10. Bag 10 is now done, and yeah, this is all that happened. Not really a whole lot for me to say on that at this point, so let's just move on to bag 11. All right, bag 11 is now done, and looks like this is Mario's torso. I think this might be the front, and this the back of the overalls. But it's still a little difficult to tell at this point, so let's just continue with bag 12. All right, so bag 12 is now done, and Mario now has legs and feet. And the last step was putting that all into the cart, as you can see there. And something I didn't really think about before this step was the fact that these movable armature pieces here that are on the left and the right sides of the cart, it'd be easier to see if I just remove Mario for now. These pieces here are actually the gas and brake. I mean, that makes sense now that, you know, once you put Mario in, you can see that his feet line up perfectly to press them. But it's just not something that I thought about beforehand. And now it just makes a whole lot more sense. Just figured I'd share that little tidbit with you guys. I think that's the word anyway, piece of information. And yeah, so now let's move on to bag 13, where we'll just continue working on Mario. All right, so bag 13 is now done, and Mario finally has his left hand. Nice, I'm left-handed as well. So cool that they made that the first of the two hands that you actually build. But something cool about this is that Mario's arm can move up or down. You can adjust the thumb as well, the position of it. It's a little finicky, so you gotta be careful. These fingers are not adjustable, just the thumb. So if we wanna kinda have him holding the wheel, gotta make sure that that stays tight, then we kind of have to do it like that, where his thumb is over the wheel there and the fingers are kind of resting behind it, even though these fingers are not technically touching the wheel. It's kind of like, oh, they're just supporting it sort of thing. I don't know. It gets the illusion across that, oh, look, he's driving, cool. And yeah. So now let's move on to bag 14, where it looks like we'll be working on the right arm next. Bag 14 is now done, and Mario's right arm and hand is in place, just like it was on the left side. The mechanisms and everything are basically identical, just mirrored. So that's all I really have to say about that. Let's move on now to bag 15, where it looks like we'll begin work on Mario's head. Bag 15 is now done, and this is Mario's head so far. It's less than visually appealing right now. We see we got his face pretty much done, although it still kind of looks like he has horns up here, the way that they decided to begin the hat. But I mean, we're going to continue on with that now, so let's just get in to bag 16. All right, bag 16 is now done, and Mario has hair and a little bit more of a hat. But we still got to finish the rest of the hat and mount his head onto the body with this ball and socket joint here. So let's move on then to the final step of this build with bag 17. And with that, the Mario Kart LEGO set is now complete. Mario is now fully assembled in the cart and ready to drive. Overall, this was a pretty cool set to build. I feel like I kind of say that with almost every one of the sets that I've built, but it truly is amazing what they're able to do, what the LEGO, I guess, Master Builders is the official title, I think. What they're able to come up with and create to replicate iconic scenes and characters from huge franchises like Super Mario Brothers. And, you know, especially since something I've noticed now after doing 6 no, this is my 7th now. After doing 7 of these Lego sets and, you know, making these videos, is just the pieces that they use are just so different sometimes from the pieces that I remember using when building the more basic ones like Lego City, or, you know, like the more basic sets when I was a lot younger. And I think that just comes down to the fact that since they're trying to make something so intricate and unique, they have to make these custom pieces or just different pieces that are more oddly shaped to come up with something like the detail in Mario's hat, you know, all the different folds back there, for example. And even just the card itself, some of the pieces, they're kind of more interior now. Well, actually, no. On Mario's hat, you can see some of them on the folds here where it's just like, they're not, they almost look like Nevada, like the state of Nevada. I like to call them the Nevada pieces. But they're not 100% flat either. They curve a little bit, but they're smooth on the top, which means that they're meant to be an outer piece to create the smoother texture and sort of hide the fact that this is Lego, even though, I mean, you can still obviously tell that these are individual pieces, and, you know, like some of the details like Mario's hair kind of give away the fact that, oh, well, this is still Lego. But it is just cool how they're able to sort of hide that fact and keep that magic going by creating and using pieces like that in these sets. But that's pretty much all I have to say about this Lego set. Like I said, it was really cool, and now, you know, I feel like this was very opportunely timed with the Switch 2 coming out this year, and of course with that Mario Kart World. So just really cool how all of that lined up.
Let's go!
Whoa, Mario. Those are fighting words. I'll give you a chance to take that back before you say something you might regret.
Mamma mia!
Alright, that's it. Tell this cheap guy I want to race him, and we'll settle this once and for all.
Okie dokie.
Oh, no fair. We have the home field advantage.
Okay.
You're telling me that with all that lava, he didn't dehydrate?
Ah, mamma mia.
Fine. One more race. That's all I need. You know what? You and that mutated fish can take that trophy. I don't need this.